Well, hello, and welcome to another lesson in the Content Modeling Weekly course. I am Marcelo, Headless Creator. As always, there's my email address, marcelo@headlesscreator.com. Today, I'm doing it a little bit different. Normally, I'm doing the content modeling. I have a great content modeler here today as a guest presenter. His name is Bogdan Setirko. He's a senior solutions architect at Uniform, and he'll be designing a content model for internal team page. So without further ado, Bogdan, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcella.
Glad
Happy
to
to
have
be
you here.
happy to
Now,
be here.
you're located in Berlin, right?
Yes, I'm in Berlin.
Okay. Yep. And we're in Southern California here, so we got a world audience here with us. But real quick, tell us, how did you get into, or give us a little bit about your background first, actually.
I'm based in Berlin right now, but originally from Ukraine, and
Oh,
currently I'm working at Uniform as a senior solution architect. Before, I was at Contentful, working also as a solution architect, and before I had a background in software development and software engineering in different branches, from backend to mobile to smart home devices like Alexa or Google Home, all that fun stuff. So yeah,
oh, nice.
that's my very brief background.
So, what got you into technology and programming? I mean, what kind of programming did you do? You said Alexa and other stuff like that, but what kind of languages were you programming in?
Um, so um, I think what got me into programming is just from childhood. I got interested in
Mm-hmm.
that, and that I was analyzing that and thinking like, why did I decide to make programming? Why did I decide to go into this area in general? I think one of the reasons was actually that you have kind of an easy step in. Everything what you need is basically your brain and a laptop or computer, right? At that time when I started was just a PC, very old and very I don't know, like yeah, probably like everybody had very not powerful PC, but it was enough to start writing some HTML, and I think I always like to create something, and
Mm-hmm.
I thought, okay, I can use my brain, and I don't need much finances to start doing something and see results. And
Low
then
barrier to entry.
exactly, and then I understood, okay, that's something I like because I can create something. I can see what I'm creating,
Mm-hmm.
and then I saw that people like what I'm creating as well,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like one, like different tasks, and started to do some freelancing. Got my first jobs and decided, okay, want to study that as well, and got to universities and so on and so on and so forth.
I think that creating something from nothing is always very exciting, right? With
Yeah,
computers, that's what got me into computers. And then, like you said, seeing other people use something you created and making their life better because of something you created, that's icing on the cake, right?
exactly. And like when you're starting from all your relatives and friends, or your even at that time of my parents' relatives that I was creating, for example, like first websites
Yeah.
for them, and they were like, "Oh, that's so nice, that's so cool." I was like, "Yeah, it's actually there's something that's something I like." I was like, "Okay, that sounds interesting," and then it's like moving forward.
Right.
It's
Then it's just learning. Yep, definitely. Cool. Where we got your screen there. I can see your screen now. Real quick before we start on the content model itself, give one tip that if people walk away today with nothing else than this, what is this tip you want to give on content modeling?
I think one of the most important in content modeling is like in life, communication. I think that the good content model comes from discussion, honestly to say, because there is content modeling in general is very subjective thing. And even though like we're discussing some best practices and so on, if this best practice is not fitting your team, it's not the best
Right.
practice. So communication between development, editorial teams, designers, or product owners, project managers, and from this collaboration, a good content model will appear.
I love that. Great. Well, with that said, I'm gonna go away and let you take control here.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Marcelo. So, hi everybody. Once again, Today, we are discussing and we are creating a content model for internal team page. And as an example, I took pages of Bamboo HR. I think most of the people know this tool, just an HR tool, and which is like very popular, very interesting, and it's hard to find pages that are publicly available on Bamboo HR, but I found from some documentation. Just take screenshots to not show the personal boards. So took some screenshots from that are publicly available in the internet. And first, what I want to do is to go through those screenshots, go through those pages, and just discuss what we see here. So since we are talking about internal team page, where the first thing that where we are moving to is tab people. And this tab people, we can see this there is this directory, and we see here two tabs: directory and org chart. With directory, we can see people that belongs to the company. And here we have a person, image, name, title, and location, as well as some contact details and who this person reports to. Then if we are moving to the org chart, if we're going to the tab, the org chart, then we will see the org chart starting from the very top level, from the CEO of the company, and then the other people and other departments. So we can see that, okay, Brian Croft is the chief product officer, and within the Jonathan reports to Brian Croft, so as a principal product manager. So we can see multiple departments, and we can see people who reports to whom, and what is the hierarchy in the company. And of course, since we are talking a lot about people here, internal like a person page, home page is also important here. Is here we have again just screenshots from publicly available documentation. We have Jessica Williams, who is an HR administrator, and here's some data about Jessica vacation days, sick leaves, and so on, as well as we can see on this page who is out, who will be out tomorrow. In some cases, we can see here as well who just joined the team or who gonna join the team in the near future, and some other information as well. So yeah.
Something real quick, real interesting here too. Like if we were in a team meeting here, I would ask also, like, can certain people have access to certain things like company directory, maybe not, right? So that way we could document that as well.
Oh, that's a great point. As you can see, Jessica is HR administrator, so she's probably managing this tool
Right.
from HR perspective, right? So me, for example, as an employee from a different department, I might not have this company directory, or might not have certain tabs here, right? And I would have, for example, the tab who just joined the team. And I'm explaining what I'm having really in my Bamboo page. I have like who just joined the team or who gonna join Uniform in the near future. And so cool. Yeah, definitely depends on the different departments. Depends on the different access. You have different tabs here. So yeah, and let's probably start again. If as Marcel said, if you have any questions, please write them in the chat, and I will try to answer them. So yeah, let's start. As we can see, everything since the people we are talking about internal team page. Team is all about people, and that means that we should start from a person. Right, person is the key here, because we can see that everywhere we see a lot of information about the person. And starting from the person page, let me just zoom out a bit. So you can see better. And I saw Marcelo is using mind maps. So let's be consistent and use mind maps. So yeah, so we have person content type that will have, of course, multiple fields, and apparently we have person name, we have title, we might have that's we can together have a look at here and at the person itself. So we can have location, contact details, social networks as well, and let's see. So yeah, let's move further. So name, title, we can see that it's going to be a person location where he's working from, location, and location in the future might be a reference field, because then we can, and the person might have multiple, so one location might have multiple person working from, and this we will add later, the reference field. And then we can have also team, the name of the team, and again, team might be also reference field. Marcelo, am I picking the right colors here?
Close enough. Close enough. We're good to go.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so we have name, title, location, and team so far. What else do we need? We need also contact data and social network. So let's say we have contact details and social. So what else will we have? We will have who this person reports to, right? And let's put it as well. Reports to, and reports to are going to be the reference field currently as well. So let's go, and then we have. If you want, we can set more information. I mean, we can set, of course, much more information about the person, like, for example, how many vacation days this person is having, right? And this depends on the contract. In some companies, there is like a standard amount, and this is not needed to assign this to the person, but in some companies, it depends on the contract. So that might be required to put how many vacation days this person is having. So yeah, let's move. Let's have a look what else we're having. So we have yeah. Oh, and one more thing I think which is important is when the person starts. Maybe first date of the when they join the company. I don't know, started. Different name, but I'm always bad at naming. That's why I think collaboration is very important. You know, also for setting up naming conventions, that everybody understands. When you try to name things, everybody understands what and why you name things in a certain way. So that's why collaboration is super important. Sometimes developers' naming conventions are different from editorial naming conventions, and it's important that both teams are understanding each other. So we set up fields here, and we have name, title, location of the person, team, contact details, social, reports to vacation days, and when the person started. And probably what I need to do else is pick up colors. The thing is that a lot of data will come from reference fields, as I can see here. So for example, contact details might be also the one thing that coming from the separate from separate component. And the started is just a regular one. Started date, just a date. So
now, as the HR director, I'm going to jump in real quick and go, we also have a picture for the person that we use.
That's great. Yeah.
But because I'm an HR person and I know where everything goes, is that picture we may have different versions of the picture depending on where we're displaying this. So I'm just going to put that out there for you to know that.
That's great. That's great catch. Thank you. And I look at the page, see all the fields, but I have not seen the picture. It's just.
But I think this is an important what you said at the beginning, which is communication, right? It's important for everybody to have a diverse team, and then everybody communicate. If you repeat yourself, it's okay, but as long as all of the stuff is out there, then everything can be covered.
Absolutely, agree.
Yeah. We planned this. You planned this on purpose.
Yeah. So let's put it as a image here, and the image might be, again, this is something as a reference field, since as Marcel was saying, based on his business experience, in such cases, if there might be different variations of pictures. The first thing is most of the headless CMSs are allowing you to download the pictures in a format that you need, as well as make cropping, as well as rounding corners and all that stuff. And if your headless CMS, for example, is not supporting this functionality, or if you need something more than that, then of course digital asset management systems are your best friends. And of course, I would also suggest to use those for that purpose if the functionality of your headless CMS is not enough for your use case. So yeah, so I put an image here as a reference on purpose, because I have, since again the picture might be with different variations, even with different maybe backgrounds or even different pictures of the same person, depends on the page where they are presented, whether it's a blog post, whether it's an internal page. I think that would make sense to have it as a reference, and then create a content type that is focused on the assets, so on the image, and we can call it, I don't know, image wrapper or something similar. So create an image wrapper where you would have variations of of the images of the person, plus maybe some additional metadata that is required for this image. So what we're going to do next. Yeah, let's then create. Oh, sorry. Let's start with creating our further content types. So as we discussed, there are quite some content types that are required, and components that are required to set. And since we started talk about picture and images, let's start with an image, and we can call it maybe image wrapper. And here we go with title. And this is something I think important in general, to have consistent naming conventions. And one of the suggestions what I can give is use internal titles across your content types and components. That will help your editorial team to have better discoverability, right, of the content. So they can use internal titles as with different patterns for those titles, but those patterns should help better discovery of your content. So yeah, and maybe, I mean, that would probably not apply for the person content type, right? Since there is a name. So we have image wrapper, we have title, we have the actual. Let's have a look. We have a media field here, and that will be the actual image. And there might be if we have different, let's say, variations of the images, we might have also different fields for the image. So let's say image for your image for portfolio, and image for your blog post. Yeah, that's something that you can definitely do, because I mean, you might have official image for the portfolio, but for the blog post, you might have something more more relaxed, right? So I would that it's like, and here I would say that it's one-to-one reference. So yeah. So yeah, though image wrapper, if you would have an digital asset management system, I would also set up an image wrapper that is sitting on top of it, honestly to say, because then you would have kind of, again, consistent experience across your content types, plus you can add some additional metadata that is required for your use case. So yeah, so we have created the image wrapper. Let's move forward with creation of, let's say, a team, right? So we have, if you look at the org chart, we have different departments and we have different teams, right? So we have, here we have the level, let's say, of the department. We have a product engineering, customer success, and so on. And then we're moving forward, because I would imagine, for example, for customer success, you have multiple teams where you have your maybe services team and your customer success team, right? Well, the same applies for engineering. There are multiple teams in the engineering that would have different goals and different jobs to do. So let's create a team page. Oh, not a page, sorry, team content type. Here we go with title, and then what did they? I think since we are talking about internal teams pages, would make sense to have some kind of a description of the team. So let's say if I'm from a different team, I would like to go to see, okay, what this team is working at, right? And what they are, what are their goals? So maybe some kind of a description of the team, or something similar. So title, description, and then teams belong to a department, right? So I would say that there might be a reference field that you have a department. Yeah, so this is something that I'm moving to. So here we go with team, and since we have a department here, the thing is that with the department, if we're talking like purely about the content and about the structure of the content, the team and department might be represented from a single content type, technically, right? You might have just let's say one field in the middle here that shows whether it's a team and department. So when you're creating your content, you can just select, okay, it's a team or is it a department, because department might belong to multiple teams, right? At the same time, this might create some confusion for the editorial teams, because that might also create some kind of endless loops that teams belong to the departments having some teams and so on and so forth. So and probably department might have some more content, some more data about the department itself. So probably I would then create just a separate content type for department. So and then we go for title. How we go for some objectives of this department, or maybe just a description. Here it's an interesting question, and you might think about that, of course, on your own, or just through your thoughts in the chat. We have team and we have department. One belongs to another. How would you go with that? Would you go with the team is referencing departments, so team is literally belongs to department, or would you go that department has multiple teams and then make a department as a multi-reference? So this is something that is a case to think about, probably.
So I'm going to jump in here as the HR director, and I'm going to say that a person can belong to multiple teams, and can belong to a department, and a team would only belong to one team would belong to a unique team would belong to a department. So a department can have multiple teams, but that
Yes.
team would only exist in one department, not in multiple.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I also had exactly the same thought. So we would have here create, especially for example, when you're building such an org chart, it also would be easier to have an overview when you're going from a top-down perspective, kind of departments. You have departments, you have multiple teams that belong to, and then people who belong to those teams. So that's why I would put teams here, and 1, 2, many, and I don't know. Is it correct? How you? Yeah, 1 to many. Okay. So multiple teams. Here we go, and so then it means that technically we don't need a reference from the team to the department, because we have already the reference from department to the teams. And in most of the headless CMSs, if you want to get the data from a team, you can check who is the parent of this content type. So that should not be an issue.
I think that's an important thing to talk about with the team too, right? Because depending on the headless CMS, they may not do bi-directional. Like putting a reference department may not actually return the reference in teams. Some do, some don't, depending on the headless CMS.
That's what I'm saying. That like most of the headless CMS allow you to check it out,
right.
Like who are the parents of this team,
right?
But you're right, that is not observed on every CMS. So maybe
right.
Maybe having still this department as optional depends on the CMS would make sense.
Right. Or if you have a team member involved, which I highly recommend, involved in the modeling, like a developer that would know the headless CMS and would know that implementation, they can say, no, don't worry about it. It's already automatically returned. Or no, it doesn't. And that's why it's very important to have that diverse team that we always push for in a content modeling session.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that it's like so important to have communication, right? Because quite often I can see that customers are completely giving the full responsibility for the development teams to create content models and then implement all that stuff. Or I saw scenarios when customers are giving this task to their, let's say, marketing or editorial teams, that they are creating the content model and then giving this content model to their development teams too.
Right.
Then like both things are not right. The ideal scenario or the right scenario is communication. Of course, you have representatives from both teams, but coming together in a room or in a Zoom call and drawing up together, agreeing on certain steps and, as I said, naming conventions. This case with team and departments, right? This is a good example of where, for example, should be a developer involved that knows the CMS, right?
Exactly.
Whether it's or not.
Right. Yep.
So here we go. And yeah, so we have image wrapper, we have team, we have department. Let's say department title, description, and we also have so we have a different roles in the company. right? So that might be a manager role, somebody might be the director, somebody who would be a software engineer. So we have multiple roles in the company, and so people may have different titles. So that's why I think it's important to have also in the department who is managing this department, right? Or who is managing this team. So the team manager, as might be something also important. Again, this would be a person. That would be a reference to a person. And then managing who is managing this department. Again, this is something that coming to the same question as team and department. We have a person, we have team, and we have reports too. So the managers of this person, so of the team of this person. So in some cases, you might say, okay, then we don't need reports too, because person belongs to the team, and the manager of the team would mean that it's a merged manager of this person. But there might be different cases. So that's why I would put it. I would leave both for now. So yeah, we have now. What we forgot to do is forgot to set a content type for location. And many more location, and then here we go with country. City, then code will be required. Well,
so here's an interesting question, right? Because now location could be a content type, but the question then is to the team, are we reusing all that information, or could this be a component where the information is stored in person, right? Because if we create content types, in some headless CMSs, we can have content types and components, right? They're different. The components are going to be your function, your field structures. Maybe that becomes a component. What's your thought on this? Because to me, content type for location means we're going to reuse that combination in other places. But that combination may only be true for John Doe in person, not for John Doe and Jane Smith.
Yeah, well, so you can definitely reuse, again, this depends on the company,
Right.
say, because it depends on, like, let's say we are talking about location for the for the company with like multiple offices around the world, and you're just setting up the location where the person is working from. Then this is highly reusable information, right? You have location of the country, city, postal code, and then the literally office address, right? But that might be also a personal address of the user, where, for example, a company sending gifts for the birthday and similar things, right? This data is very specific for the person. This is something that is definitely not reusable. So maybe having actually literally both, like a location where is the person located to work, and then personal address would be a good approach to have actually both fields available on the person.
That makes total sense. So one would be the location of the office. The other one is the location of the person, which is very personal to that. And that would be a component where the location of the office would be reusable content, because many people would be in that office.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we can name it personal address or something.
Right. Cool.
Maybe that's something.
And by the way, I'm going to give a warning to the audience that we have about 7 minutes left. We may have to do a part 2. Are you cool with doing a part 2 of this?
Absolutely, sure.
Awesome. We're going to get you back
time
up.
flies.
I love it. No, this is great. This is great.
So yeah, and we have here location, we have personal address, and that was a really good example about like reusability. So how to reuse how to reuse a content type or create a component. again, it's like with naming is always interesting. Different CMSs name different in different ways, content types, components, topics, assemblies, etc. And it's always the key thing is to understand the concepts, right? And then you can name whatever you want, how you want those those concepts. So yeah, we have location, and then there's something that it's work location, and then we have, and the thing is that I'm just thinking literally the content type here that is location might be reused across. So you don't need, I don't think that you need actually to create an actual additional content type or for the actual location. You just, in the fields here, you can see that work location is a highly reusable thing that will be repeatable, but the personal address would be not, right? And but the structure of the actual component here with the country, city, postal code, and address is identical, right? So you might not need to create additional one, just two different references for the person. So yeah, we have then name, title, work location, personal address. We have team, and we have created the team. We have contact details. Okay, contact. Another thing is the contact details. Contact details is something very unique to the person, and even though the structure of it will be repeatable, here you might want to create just fields within the person content types for his contact details, like telephone number, email address, LinkedIn, Twitter, no, it's social already, but email address and telephone number. That might be something that you can just add directly within the person content type. And again, this is something subjective, right? Because your editorial team might not like to have that many fields that represents, like, for example, the contact details, right? And then as soon as you need another contact detail, you want to add one more field. That's something that something subjective probably. Or
So oh, go ahead, finish your thought.
yeah, I just jumped to contact details, and so personal address, literally personal address, may be part of the contact details, and so if you can definitely have so that in the contact details you have reference field for the address. So let's say you have.
So then contact details could be a reference field to many content types, like to the address, to social media, right? So in there they can add an entry for social media. They can add an entry. So it would be a multi-reference to multiple content types, not just one, right?
Exactly.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, cool.
So let's say contacts, we have title, we have phone, have email, might have, again, this is something as a address, and also social. All of that is contact, right? Here we go with, so we can just reference that, and here we then don't need social anymore because we are referencing that in the contact. So yeah, so, and here we go with, I'm just wondering. So yeah, the type S might be, no, that one. Yeah, mind map is not my thing, probably. Not always. So yeah, I don't need to have. Yeah, so yeah, we can add all the referencing a little bit later, but the one thing that was important here to mention is work location. What kind of work location? It's definitely will be one-to-one mapping. personalized. The same applies for contact details, right? One to one. So, and then, but the team, as our HR specialist said, we can yeah, we can say that a person can belong to multiple teams, right? So that something might be one too many. Yes. So let's wrap up with person. We are kind of finished with. We have work location for the person, which is one-to-one mapping. We have team reference field again, which is one-to-many mapping. We have contact details again, one-to-one, and reports too. So a person would report with a one-to-one mapping, hopefully. Another way would be quite hard. I mean, I would need to help. I would need here again help of the HR specialist probably to understand what is the current situation of the company, whether it can be the case where a person reports to multiple people. And then we have vacation days, which might be just a number, and then started, which might be just a date, as well as we have image wrapper, which is just reference to image field, which is a reference to the image wrapper with a list of the different images for the portfolio and for the blog post images, etc. So yeah, we have created multiple other content types and components, but I think in our next live stream we can create all the relationships and move forward with that
and finish off all the other screens. This was great. This is really good, and part of this is to show people that hey, conversation is extremely important, right, in the team. So like you said, you couldn't answer, does that person report only to one team, multiple teams? You need that HR specialist, but then you also needed the CMS specialist to know, like, do we need to do another reference from team to department, department to team, right? You need all these people involved. Very, very important.
Communication is king.
Communication is great. Yeah, it's exactly as king. So, Bogdan, thank you so much. If people want to get a hold of you, that would be it right there. The email you have?
Sure. Yep. Here's my email there. Also, I think there is my LinkedIn profile. So just reach out if you have any questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thanks to the rest of you for watching today. I really hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for part 2. We're going to have lots of fun with part 2. It's going to be another cool one with Bogdan here. I'm going to continue finishing that model, continue that conversation. The point of the Content Modeling Weekly course is not just to learn content modeling, the technical part, but also the process and the communication and the art behind it, because it is a mixture of science and art. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, everybody.